comprehensive budget study, either through the utilization of existing committees or establishment of a new task force to study the town's current budgeting process and provide feedback and recommendation to improve. This is including but not limited to state enabling legislation, exemptions, that is senior or veteran, rate structure, tiered, as well as long-term goals and community feedback, including both residential and commercial. Mr. Osier, Mr. Zwolenski.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I put this on the agenda because after the recent budget process we went through, I think it was one of I think we should study. There was a lot of discussion of what is best, like that's tiered structure versus a flat structure, and other issues that I think we need to fully study before we can move forward. And I think the time to do that is now before we get into the weeds of another budget cycle, because we should fully understand the impact of what we're doing for the future. So long-term plan, if we're saying we should be reducing the commercial rate, do we have commercial businesses that we're trying to entice into those types of questions? I don't know if Paul has anything else to add.
Well, I think the conversation we had, Councilman, I think you were very succinct in saying to the fact that either through, I'm going to have to read it, either through the utilization of existing committees or establishment of a new task force. I think you had the foresight to anticipate opening it up to everybody, but also to make sure the folks that serve on these committees don't feel slighted. So I think you covered the bases there, and as we discussed, this was to germinate discussion on future tax levying and tax reviewing and budgets and capital. So that's what we're here. We're trying to get some dialogue going.
Do you think it would be prudent to give it to the budget committee, since they're already enforcing and they maybe kind of have nothing to do for the next 6 months?
I'd support that.
I would ask them if they wish to commit their time to it.
Yeah.
Sure.
That would be my first.
And that's
Yes.
what Council Osier did express. Is, I don't know if they have time or not, but well, let's bring it up. So, exactly. Doug, you should. I'm speaking for you here.
No, I think utilizing existing committees makes a lot of sense. We already have people that are willing to help. I would like to have them include reaching out to local businesses or having a business roundtable to kind of bring them in to kind of get their input earlier on. Same with the residential aspect, so that we're not just making assumptions without knowing actually concerns that are out there. Maybe it brings in new areas of study. Those are some stipulations that I would like to see as well.
Sure, like most committees or ad hoc, establish a venue for it, a time, try to keep it consistent, open it up to public, and invite them in to be part of it, as we always do. So, but again, hopefully folks will have time to dedicate to this. I think we will. I think we'll find some folks who will be stepping up and dedicating their time. So, it's a great idea you had, Councilman.
So are we going to ask the budget committee to begin this, or to give them this charge, I guess, if they're willing to do it?
Yeah, we should. I think definitely ask them, reach out, and have some kind of follow up to see if they are interested, and if not, decide on that.
So,
Yeah, they can say no. I would ask them, and hopefully they'll say yes, but if not, follow a different path.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
There's a motion by Mrs. O'Hara to take this charge and offer it to the budget committee, say they're willing to do this. They would be willing to accept it if they do it.
Second.
Second by Mrs.
Discussion.
Bonioli. Discussion.
just to reiterate, to make sure that there is, and I know there will be, but just to go on the record, say that there's plenty of opportunity for input from public, as Councilman Osier said, business, residents, anybody, residents, seniors, veterans. Certainly we have to take a look at all those things. But it was actually in what we had listed, what Council Osier cobbled together and put down for the agenda. So I just want to make sure that if we're going to move through with this, it's open for a lot of input from many very divergent audience or kind of contributors.
Any other discussion?
Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bonioli? Yes. Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Osier?
Yes.
Mr. Zwolenski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council vote or other action on quarterly review of comprehensive plan to ensure congruency. No further changes are needed. Mr. Osier.
Yeah, so I put this again on the agenda because I know that we have 4 times a year to review the comprehensive plan. I know I've heard from, planning meetings and zoning meetings that, this is the comprehensive plan, and I know it's getting used to build arguments against or for. And so I wanted to make sure that, when is I know we just passed all the zoning stuff recently for the comprehensive plan, so when is the first time we can review it formally and to see if we need to update language in terms of, certain examples to include, the most recent one that comes to mind is like the wind turbine.
I might be mistaken, and maybe Mr. Krabs, correct us. It's not necessarily that we can review this 4 times a year. We can amend it up to 4 times a year, correct?
Right.
It's not that we need to review it. We potentially can amend it 4 times a year.
So yeah, so I guess do we do like case studies where we get certain examples or stuff like that to see do we need to change or do we need to amend it and who's leading those?
Yeah, it's important to know too, it's not always on the municipality to initiate change. A lot of times you have the development community that might come in with something that would necessitate amendment. So, that's why they go in 4 times a year. It's not always driven by the community sometimes, like some of the requests that happen. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And just by way of an update, because we recently adopted the one that you just reviewed on April 1st, it was submitted to the state weeks ago now, and I'm already getting some feedback. Rhode Island Housing called it recently, so all the different state agencies had it, they're reviewing it, and I'm hopeful to get, an approval with, they usually give you some minor conditions of approval. It's not uncommon, so hopefully we'll get that soon. Bobby's working on with Main Street maps to amend all the zoning maps that go on the internet DeJesus system. We've already prepared hard copy maps. So we're working on finishing up the process to complete the adoption of the current one. It'd be nice to get that approved before we entertain any amendments. I know it goes back to prior to 07. It wasn't, the state didn't adopt it in 07 either, so I don't know when it was last adopted.
How long of a process is it before the state finally gives it to us?
So in excess of 300 days. So I was here really to hear what it is that you had in mind to see, what do you expect?
Yeah, I wasn't aware that it wasn't approved yet by the state, so I think that knowledge is helpful. I don't think we should be amending or changing anything until we know the final outcome of that. So I think that's helpful information.
Any other questions come up?
Even though, Tom, we adopt it and we can amend it, it's really the planning board and the planning department that kind of own that comp plan, correct?
Yeah, the state law basically mandates that should the council be hit with a petition to amend it, you would remand it to the planning board for study, which you've done in the cases already with me being employed here. But of course, if you're initiating an amendment, which you can do as a council, of course that need for study and development is waived in the state law to waive that. But typically a planning board would still study whatever it is that you want them to look at and report back to you. And then of course you have your 3 weeks advertising, your public hearing, and that's the same process.
Same process. So we went through that.
If I may, when the planning board's having these discussions, it's open to the public for anybody to show up and participate. And ultimately, the opinion of the planning board is given to the town council. It's the sitting council that makes the final decision.
Mr. President, I have a question for the planner. Do amendments require approval by the state also?
Yes.
That's an important thing to remember here, that, this process is not something that you want to be keeping around on. It's tedious.
It's a process.
And, it's a 5-year, minimum 5-year plan.
Now it's been a 10-year with 20-year updates.
So, this doesn't want to be the thing that we're just, erasing and changing every other month. Not to say that, changes should be made, but hopefully we have confidence in the decision-making that you made in the beginning document. And looking at this as an issue of constancy, because that's what it should be.
But any changes to the comp plan as well, though, affects the zoning, which affects any potential building and development throughout the town. So it is I want to say this, it's protracted for a reason. It's a long process to make sure that no errors are made.
And it's a general guiding document for a reason. I mean, if you want to think of an example, if you were to place some kind of industrial growth in the southwestern part of town on Rock Hill Road, there better be a good reason to do that. Maybe there is, I can't think of one, but that would be a reason to do a comp plan. So it's, generally we know where the economic growth is going to happen and where you want to preserve land. That's,
Thank you. Next item, discussion by council board or other action on payment to STV BPM for invoice number 90014452 for professional services rendered in regards to the NSES project. We do have the invoice. It is dated 6/12/2019, the amount of $508. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bonneville, is there a second?
Dialogue, a second for discussion.
Second for discussion, Mr. Zwolenski.
Sorry, you know what? I don't think I had it in my packet. What was the amount?
$508. Do you want to see it?
Yes, thank you.
That's the town's OPM on that job.
All right, thank you.
Hearing no other discussion, roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli? Yes. Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Zwolenski?
Yes.
Mrs. Vadeney?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council vote or other action on purchase of North Smithfield School Department networking hardware. Mr. Jesus.
This was submitted by the Director of Technology for the North Smithfield School Department, and the capital was approved at $40,000. They will be spending $37,408.93 for all the various. You can see his attachment has various items and professional services on it. Any questions? They're taking on the state of Long Island and paying less by line.
So you're recommending approval?
I'm sorry?
You're recommending approval?
Yes, please.
So with the recommendation of the finance director, is there a motion to approve the contract with Invoice Technologies in the amount of $37,408.93?
Make the motion with a discussion after.
Motion by Mrs. Zwolenski, I'll second for discussion.
Yeah, just to make it clear that there was a 40% E-rate discount. I don't know if someone mentioned that, I didn't hear.
I'm sorry, I did not, yes.
Oh, okay,
correct.
so that's one we want to
That's
talk about.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
and it's being purchased by Invoice.
The 40% is pretty standard for the school district. That's been around for a long time, 40%. But
Just
yeah,
one for the record.
40% is good for us. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli? Yes. Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Zwolenski?
Yes.
Mrs. Vadeney?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council vote or other action on purchase of North Smithfield School Department SAN storage unit.
And this recommendation came from the Director of Technology for the North Smithfield School Department. I'm actually concurring with their recommendation to contract with Whaley Computer for $28,732.91. The capital budget that was approved was for $30,000 in fiscal '20. My recommendation is to concur with the recommendation of the Director of Technology.
So you've heard the recommendation to award to Wally Computer in the amount of $28,732.91 for the SAN storage unit. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bottomoli, second by Mrs. Zwolenski. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli? Yes. Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Zwolenski?
Yes.
Mrs. Vadeney?
Yes. Next item is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. O'Hara, is there a second? Second by Mr. Ogier. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli? Yes. Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Zwolenski?
Yes.
Mrs. Vadeney?
Yes.